The Ruins is about two young couples fresh out of college who are on vacation in Cancun, and they meet up with a German tourist who was visiting Cancun with his brother, and his brother has gone missing. He met someone on the beach, a woman who's on her way to the archaeological dig in the interior, and they agree to go with him to find the brother and bring him back. And they bring along another tourist that they've met, a young Greek who doesn't speak any English or Spanish, so it's basically hand signals. And they head off into the interior, and they follow this hand-drawn map that the brother has left, and they get to the site of the ruins, and things basically go badly from there. They arrive at the ruins, and there are Mayans in the locality, and the Mayans first try to warn them off from going, and once the young couples cross the line onto the ruins, they're forced onto this hill where they have to figure out how to survive with very little water or food. And as things go badly, they start to turn on each other, and gradually it's revealed that on the hillside there is this other force that they have to contend with, in addition to just the basic needs of survival and their various interpersonal conflicts, which are growing worse and worse. The inspiration for the book happened 15 years ago when I was in graduate school. I was writing a short story about a group of archaeologists who dig up, in the short story, was going to be a disease that starts to afflict them and their workers. And there's this fear among the archaeologists that it might be something that there's no cure for or treatment for, and their story was going to be about their infighting and what to do in the face of that, whether they should risk going for help to the local town or not. And I put it aside and shoved it in a file. And then all these years later, when I was sitting down to write another novel after A Simple Plan, after a long silence, I picked it out, and I was thinking, I'd seen a horror film, and I thought it would be fun to try something in that genre. So I was looking through my various ideas, searching for something that could be pushed a little bit into that genre, and this setup at least jumped out at me. It had been so long since I'd written A Simple Plan, with my first novel. It had been 13 years, and I'd been doing screenwriting for the bulk of that time. So I felt very rusty, and I lacked confidence in my prose writing. And so I really started The Ruins without thinking that, oh, this will ultimately be a book that I'll put out into the world. It was very much, I'll try this, I'll see where it's going. I didn't start with a really clear outline. I just started writing, and it developed as I went along, which was unusual for me. With A Simple Plan, I had a very detailed outline. Here I just caught the voice and created the characters, but major plot developments within the book, things that in hindsight are crucial, I just discovered each day I was writing. I probably partly chose the genre out of insecurity, I think, on some level. I think I feel very confident as a writer in terms of storytelling. I think I had the sense that as I came back to try to write another novel, I just had this instinct that I needed to cleave to something that required a strong storytelling voice. I didn't want to repeat Simple Plan. I didn't want to go back to that specific genre. And horror just seemed like something that would be both fun to do, but also I felt that I would at least have that plot element as a crutch to sort of help me along. It's not a genre that I'm very familiar with. I read Stephen King when I was young, Ray Bradbury, but I don't read that much horror. I haven't seen that many horror films. So in that sense, I felt a little out of my depth in terms of how I was putting it all together. I'm still very insecure about people's reactions to it, or gratified that people seem to be responding to it, but I feel a little bit like the Emperor's New Clothes. I keep waiting for someone to point out that I have no idea what I'm doing. My instinct was always to try to go a little farther than I was comfortable with. If I felt myself flinching away from a scene or a development, I felt reflexively that the right thing to do would be to actually push it a little farther. I knew as soon as I gave it to my wife when it was 2/3 done before I sent it out, and she was very freaked out and actually couldn't finish it. So I thought, well, it's scarier than it seems to me. I felt that I was on the right track at that point.